Hello, hello. So I'm going to show a little tutorial about how to use Blender with Citywars. I don't want to cover necessarily all the basic with Blender. I think there's enough tutorial on the internet how to do it, but I'm going to show you the part that are a bit different with Citywars. Okay, so first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to set up Blender in a way that we can work with it with Citywars. Okay, so if you check, I send you the plugin that we are going to use with Blender, and I send you the URL that we are going to have to change because there are two things that we need to do. So first of all, let's set the variable that allow us to open Blender with Citywars. I want you to go to variable edit the system variable of the system. And what we are going to do is we're going to create a special variable that is going to call Blender. I'm going to destroy mine, and I'm going to create a new one, which you are going to do, and all in cap lock Blender. And what you have to do is you have to make sure that you have the right destination of your Blender. So of course, make sure that you have Blender installed, browse local file, and you take this one here, go to blender.exe. This is going to let Citywars be able to open your Blender file here. Okay. We can close this. Now that we have the variable set, that is good for that. From Blender, what you have to do now is launch the Blender file. We are going to install the add-on, which app data. Okay, Blender Foundation, Blender. You choose the version that you have. I have maybe an old version compared to the new one, but still make sure that you install into the right version that you use. Script, add-on, and this is where all your special add-on of Blender are going to list. And the one that I send you is the Citywars add-on that will allow you to export the object. So into Blender, to the add-on file, there you go. You put this one here, and from Blender now, you are going to have the ability to activate the script. Okay, so if I go to Edit, Preference, Add-on, if you search for Citywars, now you see that the Citywars exporter is here. And you see mine was already activated because probably I just removed it for the video, but just make sure to activate it. Save. One thing also, Blender I think reset every time that you save it. Okay, so if you don't change anything and you set up your scene the way you want it, you can go to File, you can go to Default and save startup file. Okay, so when you save the startup file, the next time you are going to open Blender, is going to have all the settings that you set. So make sure to not screw up the startup file. If you, I don't know what you do, but if you do something wrong, it's going to open every time. You can reset the starter file, yes, low factory default. So, and save it. So this way, every time you are going to open Blender, you will have this little plugin here, which is Citywars. So with the tab here, you're going to have the Blender file, and this is opening into the 3D viewport. Okay, so if you don't have by default the 3D viewport, make sure to have it. Save, close the application, make sure that everything is set up, and from there now you can open object from the game itself. Okay, so I'm going to open the game, play, and the first variable that you set up allow you to, from the game is going to tell Windows, hey, I want to open the application called Blender, and this is going to give the URL and allow you to open Blender from inside the game. So you join the game. When you are inside the game, make sure, one, that you are administrator, which is the case with your account. Make sure that you have activated Creative at least one time, two, and now you are ready, set to go. Your client is set up in a way that now you are able to open any object from inside the game. Make sure that you are not into Creative, or the shortcut I'm going to show you is not going to be activated. Okay, so the tool work is very simple. You find an object that you want to edit. Let's say, I don't know, you want to open this one here, and you can just press N. That is going to open the tool. Okay, so N is going to open the Blender. If you have an issue right now here and Blender doesn't open, there's multiple problems that can occur. Your antivirus can block the program, because generally when a program tries to open another program, it's never a good case. So make sure to authorize Citywars into your antivirus. And another thing also, if you type the command wrong, or there's an error or something like this, it can prevent the program from opening Blender. Okay, so make sure you have all of this set right, or it will make your workflow very more tedious and everything. Okay. And as you can see right now, I have the object set. Okay, probably when you are going to open the file for the first time, this is going to look something more like this. Okay, I can steal this, but it's still very dark. So the way that you have to do is click on this button here. You are going to be able to set the lightning to flat, which is going to remove the light. We don't use light with the Citywars. And you are going to be able to set the color into vertices. I'm very surprised that the materials still show. In general, it's all white, but anyway. So vertices. And now you're going to have a more good representing color of the project here. Good. So that is for opening a new asset. I'm going to show you how to get a special block that you can edit and do whatever. So try to avoid editing stuff that are already in the game are already right, because I'm going to lose track what have been installed. But I'm going to show you how you can have your very own object into the game. Okay. So what you have to do is you go into the creative, you type custom, and this is going to show a bunch of blocks that are in the waiting of the creation. Okay, so right now if you check, all of them have already have been edited, so we already worked with them to edit them. But if you go down, down, you will see these little weird Mario block. Okay, so these are the blocks that are in waiting to be edited. So the way you do is you place one on the ground, which doesn't have anything on it, and you press N, which is already custom block. Then you open the custom block, and you are going to go into this spot here. And this block here is technically not yours yet. It's waiting to be edited. But if someone else see that it has been edited, they are not going to edit them. Okay. I'm going to show you later how to rename them and stuff like this. But right now, let's stay focused on the 3D creation. Okay. So you have this block here. I don't know how familiar you are with Blender. I'm going to explain some basic, very basic stuff. I think there's way enough tutorial on the internet to how to use Blender. But by explaining you some of the basic, I'm going to be able to show what is different with using Blender for Citywars. Okay. So first of all, how to move in the 3D screen. Okay. So middle mouse button going to allow you to rotate your camera around the pivot. If you scroll down, you are going to zoom. If you scroll back, you are going to zoom out. If you press Shift and you press middle mouse button, you are going to move the camera. So this will allow you to, I don't know, slide on the right, on the left. So you can just shoot and then zoom and then move again. If you need to change the perspective of the camera, you can press with the numpad. Make sure you use the numpad, because in Blender it's very different what's on the numpad setting and what is on the number. So numpad 1 is going to allow you to be on the side, numpad 3 is going to be on the other side, and numpad 7 is going to be on the top. Okay. If you choose to use the kind of arrow on the number, so 4, 8, 6, 2, you are going to be able to move like around the object with the thing. Anyway, you can always use the implemented tool inside Blender. Work a lot to make it more convenient to move around the object. Now you can use this thing here. Also, when you enter into the Citywars tool with the plugin tool, you are going to have the vertex pane set by default. Okay, so if you want to have a better, more regular mode, you can just use the object mode. This is like Illustrator, where you have all your group of illustration, and when you go into edit mode, that is going to be more like when you enter a group and you change the point of object or anything. Okay. And what I show you with the numpad can all be done with these tools here. So if you want to move the, is it move? Okay, that just is move. Wait, I think there's one for the camera. I don't remember what it is, but use this one if you're not too familiar. But in general, with Blender, what you use is most of the time to make the workflow very, very fast. Blender has been developed to use most of the time shortcut. Okay, so it's kind of annoying because when you start with Blender, it's very easy to get lost. But when you get used to it, it's a very good tool to work very fast. So, okay, so that is the select box that allow you to select object. If by example I have two objects here, okay, I can choose this one or I can choose this one. If you have the cursor tool selected, you are going to see this very weird looking crosshair moving. That is the pivot point that allow you to spawn new object, allow you to do a rotation. Oh, don't, give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'm not going to I have like an allergy right now, so, but yeah, you have like the cursor, so you can move cursor. If you see this thing happening, it's because you don't have the right tool right now. You see, you are going to be able to select the object. So now when you want to exit object, what you have to do is you press tab when you select it. This is going to enter inside the object. If you see here on the left, you have object, then I'm going to do to go into edit mode, and this allow me to change the vertex inside the object. You see now that my select tool is not going to select all the object; it's going to select just the vertex of the object here. One very weird thing that we have to deal with, since we are using a runtime object, we have to deal with a special format for the object, which is called GLTF. And the GLTF doesn't have the ability to store information about multiple dots into the same location. It's a very big topic on its own. But the thing is if you try to work with it, you will see that it's very annoying because every dot is separate. They are located at the same location, but every shape has are stuck to between each other. So the way to fix this issue, what you have to do is just revert. You press M, and this is going to let you merge two dots to the same location. What you want to do is simply merge everything by distance, and this is going to every dot that has the same location. Oh, make sure that you have selected everything. Double press A to select everything, and then you just press M by distance, and it's going to merge every vertex that are not that they are at the same location. So now when you select this thing here, you see that is going to move the complete. It's the way that you expect it to be, because otherwise it's very a mess to work with. Okay. Another thing that I like to do before working with the object, I like to select everything, and then I press Alt G. This is going to merge all the triangle. If you check here, let me just select this one. Okay, you see now that this shape here has triangle, but if I press Alt G, the program is going to try to merge. It doesn't work every time. Sometimes you are still stuck with certain triangle, but it very help with working under certain object. Okay. So you have this one here. Now you see that if I choose, and right now, as you can see, I'm using on the left top screen, I have the dot. So now you're selecting vertices, but you can also select line to move around, or you can also select face. So every time that you select something, it's going to be the complete face of the object. Okay. So that is for selecting. Now, how do you move stuff into the Blender? And as you can see, sometimes I click on something and it moves. It's because I'm using the key short G. And by pressing G, you select this one here, and then you press G, and you are going to be moving the object with your mouse. Okay? If you want to move a dot to a certain axis, you can press G, Z, and then all the objects are going to follow the Z axis. You can press G, Z, Control, then right now the but that's a bit smaller. So you can see now that everything, if I hold control, is going to follow the grid and stack to it. You can change your grid into sitting if you need more precision for this, but you can press control to move with the grid. Okay, so G, Y, then you can see the thing is moving on the y-axis with the grid. If you press G, Y, Control, Shift, we are going to make the grid way more smaller, and you can see that I am moving with a grid, but smaller. So to move stuff with Blender, it's always with G. If you want to rotate stuff, you press R, and same I have theory in Word, but it's not exactly, but same rule. Okay, so you can press R, X, and then you are going to move on the X axis. If you press R, Z, you are going to move or rotate around the Z axis. If you press R, Y, you are going to rotate, but on the Y axis. And that is for moving, G, rotating R, and you have S for scale. Okay, so you see that when I press S, I'm going to scale. Let me just write you the. Do I have text plus? So G move. We have air rotate, and we have S scale. Okay. So that is the very basic of Blender, and once you understand all of this, it's very super easy to change stuff and like this. So right now I'm going to destroy the block. Okay, press A to select everything, then delete, destroying the vertex. You can destroy multiple ways stuff if you just want to destroy a face, but in general, when you want to destroy something, you want to destroy the vertex. Good. You can now press Shift A. This is going to show the mesh panel, which allow you to create new shape, new form, new stuff. Okay. If, by example, I click on the, I'm going to show you the cube, the sphere, because there's something special about it. Let's say a cylinder. When you click on the cylinder, the first time that you are going to have the cylinder opening, you see here there's a little window. You can press on it, and you can change certain property about the object. So you can have a multiple face. You can have it a bit wider, a bit smaller. It's a way to exit the object before it gets created. If, by example, I create my cube, you see that I have some information. Personally, I rarely play with it except if I have a very complex shape, but for a cube, we don't care. So, but if you search some more information about why certain shape has to be a certain way, you can play with this thing and you can have multiples. By example, if you use a cylinder and you use only 5 sides, you now have a polygon. It's not a cylinder, it's just a polygon. So, and as you can see right now, my shape just got created and it's really not at the center. And the way to fix this is because, if you remember at the beginning, we play with the cursor. That is the pivot that allow you to move object and do some stuff with it. Like, by example, if I show you here at the top, we have the transform pivot. And right now, the pivot is set to the median point. And what is the median point is simply, if right now I have my cube, let me show you, that's going to be much. If I try to rotate the cube, the pivot point is going to be at the middle of the cube because it's the median point. But if you change this one here and you change for the 3D cursor, that is going to change my pivot point to my 3D cursor. Okay, so if you need certain type of rotation, if you need certain type of scale, for example, if I scale like this, it's not the same as if I scale like this. Yep. So sometimes you can play with this. And right now my cursor is very wrong. It's on the left. And when I create the object, when I create a new object, you see that it's not at the center, and it's very impractical to work with this. So let me just remove this. And the way to fix this is you press Shift S, and this is going to open this little radial menu, and you can set the cursor to the world origin. And now with cursor to world origin. Okay, there you go. So the cursor now has been placed to the origin of the block. And now if I add back my cube, you see that my cube is exactly at the center of the object, which is where it's easier to work with. So now you have your cube. You see that I screw up the cursor, let me just remove it, and now I'm going to select the box to return back. You don't need to have the cursor selected. In fact, you almost never use that tool because it's so imprecise and doesn't do anything. But you can just, I don't know, select the cursor, move the cursor. In general, use this one to get the right place. So if you want to shape the cube, you can move the vertex like this, but I'm going to show you how to better structure your cube. So you can press Ctrl-R to add what we call subdivide line that allow you to add more vertices to your cube. So by example, if I Ctrl Z, Ctrl-R, now I can add a better form here, and I can Ctrl-R. Oh, by the way, you can also scroll the mouse to add more. If you have need for a very precise object, you can have multiple cutting. In Citywars, try to avoid as much as possible the amount of triangle and face and everything, but in the case of anything else, or you want to have very precise or very beautiful 3D, in general, the more cut, better, the more smooth and everything. Okay, so if you check here, I'm going to select here. Oh, by the way, if you double click next vertex, the program is going to try to select all the line around. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's very annoying, but when it do, it's very practical. Okay, so you have also multiple way to move the object. You remember sooner that I have the pivot point that I can choose, but also you can have this one here. And what it does, this is it allow you to I don't know exactly how do you call this. Proportional instinct. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So when you move something, if you look at it, normally when you move something, it's independent. Okay, like this. But if you use the proportional editing tool, you are going to have this thing where every dot connected to it is going to follow in a proportional way. So by playing with the mouse of the screw, you see that the circle is going to get bigger. And now when I move it, you see that more and more stuff come together, and that can be very useful to, I don't know, change the shape of something, or so you can mess around a lot with this tool and play to have very cool stuff. Okay, I'm going to remove all the split because I don't want too many faces into Citywars. So Ctrl-R, let's add another line here, and this way I can, I don't know, just select these lines and press R and then rotate it. Oh, I'm going to remove the digital, and there we go. So we have a very funky shape now. Let me select the top, and I'm going to use the tool Extrude. What does the tool Extrude, which E? You press E, and then it's going to extrude the face that you have selected. So if let me just remove my rotation. If you check here, I'm selecting all the face around. I'm pressing E to extrude, and you see that, yeah, there you go. So it extrudes the face that you have selected. For the case that I want to do, I'm going to extrude the top of it. See, extrude. I doesn't want to extrude it. So when you press E, it's going to move with my mouse. I just right click on the mouse, so it's going to cancel the movement of the extrude. And now what I can do is I can press S to scale it. So what it does is my top face now has a little interior, which I am going to use to extrude back. You see? So you can create this very interesting shape with just the extrude tool. I'm going to press E again to extrude the thing. I'm going to give it a little shape, and then there you go. Good. So we have this very weird looking thing. I don't care what I'm going to create. I think you said you wanted to create air, but once you understand how to create stuff and create visual, you can also start from an already existing object. You press N, and you can just start from it and change it for the way you want it. Okay. So I create this this weird thing. I'm going to show you how to change the color of it. Okay. So if you go to Vertex Paint, now what you can do is you can paint the vertex, and this is what we use into Citywars to have the color of the object. So I don't know, let's say I wanted red, okay? You can paint like this, which is a real pain to do, but you can paint like this. And you can change the color of the object like this. What I like to do and what I like to use is I use Shift K, which is going to color all the selected place that you have. So Shift K, boom, you got all your object paint. And if you click here on the left, you have this vertex paint here, okay? The Shift Key doesn't work very well with this one here, but yes, it does. Let me just try just to be sure. Yes, it does, okay? But it creates this very weird gradient, because one thing that is very special about Blender is, you see here when I select why doesn't select? Shift select, for some reason it's different to this mod, but yeah, Shift select. You see now that if I choose blue and I press Shift K, it's going to color all the vertices that I selected, and you see now that the blue has on every face. And that is something very annoying about the Blender system, because when you paint the vertex, but in reality, each vertex of each face has the ability to have a different color. If you check here, let me just revert. I select just this face, press Shift, and click, and I choose the blue, and I press Shift key. You see now that my face, in reality, the vertex has multiple color into the same one, but the face here is blue, the face on the top is red. So if you use the tool with just the face, you can cheat the system. That is not, but I don't know if it's meant, in fact, it's meant for the object, but Blender Tool Edition are not very pretty good about it. But if you use the face, you can create very interesting color about it, because now you can have the access to change the same vertex, the same point, with multiple color for each face. And this is exactly what you will need with Citywars, okay? So if I don't know it's green, then, oh no, I just select everything. So make sure to select stuff. Oh, and one very annoying stuff, when you Control Z on the vertex paint, you are going to lose your color every single time. So that is so annoying. There you go. Okay, now that you have your object with your magnificent color that you set, it's going to, the next job is going to export them into the server, okay? So right now I work it into Blender, I am inside my computer, and all what I've done is not in-game. What you need right now is click on this little button, export. That is the tool that we just installed at the beginning of the tutorial, okay? Make sure you have the right version, it's going to be here. And what the tool do is very simple. It's going to use the number of the object. So make sure that the number of this object match the object that you want to replace. So by example, if I go check in the game, and you check at your right, you have this number here, a very good number in English. So this number here, and this is the number that the system is going to wipe. So if, I don't know, my object was named this number, 464 here, 464, I'm going to wipe the object 464. So do not try to always double check the ID of the object if you don't want to wipe anything, okay? But in general, when you start from the game with a custom object that doesn't have any news in the game, and you press N, the object is going to be already right set, and when you press export, you are going to export this exact object. And this is what we are going to do, okay? We press N on this object, we edited the object. Let me just remove this one because I duplicated. And now when I'm pressing export, there we go. And if I go in game, now I have to tell the server that I have edited the object. So remove your creative and you press air, and then ta-da, we have the object, okay? You see, this is actually the object we made, except that object is now wobbling. And what the fuck is going on? I'm going to show you. In general, in Blender, any tutorial that you are going to see, they won't use the vertex paint to paint the object. Most of the time, what you are going to use is the vertex. And I'm going to show you quickly how to get a new Windows, okay? So, getting smaller. So now if you check at the top right corner and top left corner, you see that my cursor is going to change color. So if you just move like this, you're going to be able to create new window. And when you create new window, the nice thing about Blender is you can just create as many windows that you want. So if you want to work in 3D and have multiple perspective, you can just click like this, and then you remember I show you how to have the numpad. So now I can see the top of my screen, I can see the left of my screen, and I have my 3D view to work with. Okay, so you can very much work multiple side, and you can create the way you want your layout. So right now what I'm going to show you is the UV editor. Okay, so normally when you create the object in 3D, you are going to use a texture that is going to be in 2D, and you are going to tell the program how to show this texture in the game. So I want to enter into the UV editor thing because it's a very vast complex, and like I said, there's 100 tutorial about it, but I'm going to show you what is different in Citywars. In Citywars, we don't use UV editor. One way that we figure out to save space for the object is we get rid of the texture of any object. So normally, if you want to say, okay, that object is red on the top and that object is blue or whatever, it has a texture, you will create a 2D version of that object on the UV editor, and you are going to tell the program what color is where and what texture is where with this thing. So by example, if you check here, and this one is not the right example, this one here, okay, you can say, okay, let's say that I have, I don't know, you draw some kind of industrial texture into this square here, so you can just like place your UV and set it in a way that now the texture is going to reflect exactly this thing here. Okay, but since in Citywars we don't need UV, what we use instead is each vertex as a location. Okay, if you check, do I see them? Yeah, okay, let's select everything. So each vertex has a location in the place, and we use them as a value. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly, and by the way, the UV editor works exactly as the 3D editor. So if you want to move something, you can select it. Okay. Oh, by the way, I pressing B. It's a tool that I forgot to show you here. You can, oh, there you go. So you can press B. It's going to have a select tool that you can just use to select stuff. If you want to select something that is behind the object, you just have to activate like the X-ray X-ray mode, and then you see the object through, and then you can, by example, press B and select the object. There you go. Okay, so same thing on the other side here. You can click and you can press B to select the vertex. I'm going to merge all of them into one vertex. In general, you don't want to do this because you are going to ruin your UV. But on Citywars, it's very practical to have all the vertices in one place. I'm going to show you why. S0 to make it scale to 0 to 1. And these vertices here are all my object vertices. They are all at the same place. And what it allows me to do is it allows me to change their location on this graph. You have to see this UV editor. Normally it's for the texture, but you have to see as Citywars as a graphic. Okay. So the more the object, in general, if you don't want your object to move, let me just change this one here to the cursor. You see there is a cursor exactly like the, I'm scaling 0, and now my cursor is exactly at 0. Let me just get the middle point back. If you check now, and I export the object, you see that now it doesn't move. Okay. If I go here, I use the X-ray, select, and now you see that I have selected just the vertex that I have on the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this vertex on my graphic into the X and Y. I'm going to return back to the object, and where's my star? There we go, export. Okay. What it will do is now you see that the top of my object is moving, and we use this graphic to create the tree, all the moving object in the game. I don't know if I have a tree near so I can show you. tree. Let's try one that has the conversion. This one is pretty sure. No, it doesn't have. So there's a lot of tree that doesn't have the new system. So I might just scroll down for a while. There. This one of it. Yes, it has it. Okay, so you see that the tree is valsing and it's moving. Okay, this one of it, I'm sure. Yeah, this one have it very more. Okay. If you check now, and we don't use any animator, we don't use anything. It's all shader process that is going to move the object. And the way we do it, if you check, now I'm pressing N, I'm going to edit the object. And if you check here, I select the object. You see now that my object here, yes, that these vertices here probably, what everything that is, you remember I told you to press M when you open it by distance. There you go. If you check here, I'm pressing L to select all the vertices that are connected together, and you see that the tree is here and the branch are here. Okay. And what it allows me to do is, the more you're on the X, the more the object is going to valse, the further is from the ground, and the more your object, the vertex, is on the Y-axis, the more it's going to wobble to create some kind of leaf effect. If you check here, you see that, let me just get the camera straight. You see now, the tree doesn't wobble like the leaf, but it moves this way. And the further you are from the ground, the more the object is going to valse like this. If you check now, I'm selecting everything. I'm moving everything like this. Oh, I lose it. I'm going to export. Where's my button? My face is on it. Export. Now if I reload it, where's my camera? You see now that the trees are, help! So, in fact, so you can set all your setting to have it in depending of what effect you want to create and what effect you want to change. Okay. So I'm going to revert it back because I don't want to lose the previous setting that I had. Back. Oh, there we go. Chook. So if you see your object, and that especially happens every time you create a new object, because Blender tried to export the UV in an intelligent manner, because in general you are going to use the UV to texturing, but on Citywars we use vertex color to color the object. So you don't need the UV, and we use it as a way to tell the program what is moving, what wobble, and what. So just make sure that you get this straight and get fixed before creating your object. There you go. Good. So now it's back. Export. Oh, I put it there. Let me just. What? Oh, okay. My screen is over it. Oh. Oh yeah, there you go. So now I put back the UV, and you see that everything should be fine like this. Exporting. Good. Okay. So now you know how to load the object. You know how to edit the object. You said that you wanted to make air. I'm not very good at making air, so I'm not going to, to show you how to do it. But let's say I'm just going to show you just quick how to get access to the air that you want to change. So let's say create NPC. You like Kate air. Yeah. You say you like it, Kate air. Yeah. So how do you get access to this air? So right now the system is going assembler ID to get the ID. So this one here, You see, I'm going to search your object. Chook, placing it here. And now I can press N to edit the object. You see that we have your air here. Let's say, I don't know, you want it vertex paint. You want it pink because this is so hot. One thing that I can show you that is very useful if you personally I hate doing color into Blender because it's a mess, but if you want to quickly edit the shading thing, because right now if you check, all the object is very pink and it doesn't have any sharp edge. And one thing that we like to do in Citywars is we select, by example, this thing, and I'm using this shading tool, which is add 5%. It will add more white or more black to the object. So if I press 2 times, 1, 2, does it work? Okay, I put 100% pink, which is not a good idea for this example. Let me just like this. Okay, so I color it back. So now I select the top of the object and I am applying a double time the shading tool 5%. 1, 2, and you see now that just by applying this, now there's this very sharp edge between this corner. So I'm selecting the front 1 time. Okay, so 2 times on the top, 1 time in the front. Chook. And now we have like a triple, we see triple corner here. Okay, so I go here where the sun is black. Chook, chook, select this. 1 time, chook. And I go behind, and then I do it 2 times. Chook, chook. And then just like this, now we add the very boring air. Now it's way better to look at it. Yep. If I press export right now, I'm going to wipe this one here. Okay, so do not press export into this air right now. You don't want to wipe it. If we start from it, this helps us to get very much faster to the thing, but you do not want to wipe it. Okay, so I'm searching a new block, which is the custom block, and there you go. So I think we use this one for the creation. As long as you don't restart your game, you're not going to see the new generated icon. So you see that this is the block that we created, and this one here is the new block that we are going to use. So you use an empty custom, you check the ID. The ID is this number here, 04. I'm going to copy paste it and return to my Blender, and now I change this number here. By changing the number, the next time I'm pressing on the export, I'm going to wipe this one here. So this one is going to become what we just created. So we start from the air, now we change it, and then we press export. If you check, now I reload, press air in the game, and ta-da, we have the air. The way, the easiest way if you want to see what it looked like and what it changed, you can type env map item. And if you check, go down, you have this quick add equipment. Damn. And then you can just simply press, I'm just going to remove a special quest that I have on me before it destroy everything. There you go. And now you can press 2, depending on where you equip it, if it's 1, if it's 2. And then, ta-da, you have the air on you. It's temporary. If you change map or anything, you're not going to see the thing, but you see now that we just created the air. So the easiest part that you can do now is just pimp it. So you remember you can press L to select every vertex that are connected together. So I'm pressing L, and now I don't know if I want a bigger air. So you export, you refresh, and then ta-da, I like this very big air. So you can mess around with it. But that's how you create air, and that's how you edit it. Like I said, the tutorial doesn't show everything. If you have more information about Blender, go to internet. Blender is very cool like this. If you search something about Blender, there's one very annoying thing. Recently they changed for a very important version. and make sure you search recent tutorial. Okay, so type 2.8 when you search for a tutorial or the new version or anything, because if you have a very earlier version or very old version, all the UI are going to be different. It's going to be a mess to learn the tutorial. Good. I think it does the full explication about how to do it with Citywars. Let me know what you think about it, and if you have the chance to create. And also, if you ever screw up the object, I do it regularly, regularly, like every month, I screw up object. Just send me the ID that you wipe it by accident, and I'm going to replace it back with the earlier version. So. Great. So good luck with this, and let me know what it looked like.